In much of life, change happens in a gradual way in the background, but sometimes there's a sudden jolt, and this month is bringing jolts of change that are disruptive but liberating and innovative. Uranus is square to the lunar nodes. Uranus, the planet of sudden change, awakening, and breaking free, is activating the lunar nodes, which are a compass for your soul. So the universe will be pushing you this month towards your soul's destined journey, and at the same time telling you what you need to say goodbye to. There are some things you've been putting off, perhaps some directions you've been subtly avoiding, and at the same time, some old ways you've been hanging on to. It's time to face up to these because this month life will bring events and or perhaps a bubbling desire for freedom, even an erupting desire for freedom, for change, and for fresh ways to do things. In this year of incredibly rare configurations and transits, this is one of them, Uranus square the lunar nodes. And it is all part of your soul's journey because of that north node that's part of it. And every person's journey and your journey is contributing to this time of fast, accelerated evolution of humanity that we are going through. 2026 has so many rare transits and configurations. It's a pretty incredible time to be alive, and Uranus square the lunar nodes is part of that. So we'll talk about that in the video. We'll talk about what Uranus means and what the lunar nodes mean in astrology, the effects on the collective in general, but also the effects for you, because we'll look at what houses these fall in for you, the north node, the south node, and Uranus, so that you can know what areas of life will be involved with this change that you can be expecting to be stepping into. Hello everybody and welcome to this video. My name is Fiona of Sun and Moon Calendar. One of the things I love about astrology, and there are many things, but one of the things is coming up with this transit of Uranus and the lunar nodes, because it is reminding us that there is a reason for so much of life. Like, I love to know that there's meaning to my life. There's a meaning to these desires that come out of me, the things that I'm into, the things I'm interested in, even some of my talents and gifts, and even many of my challenges. And I need to work through those. And each person does. And all of those things, I really feel it's not random, and astrology shows us that. It shows us it's not random. It has meaning. There is a destiny. There's a pathway for us that's karmic and incredible, and I feel very excited by that. So this month, with Uranus square the lunar nodes, I'm going to talk about that as the main topic of this video. First of all, I'm going to go through the transits of the week. This week has got some really big, important ones. And then there's going to be a quiz question. And then at the end of the video, for the first time, I'm going to do a 5-minute reading of the chart of one of the viewers of my channel. And she has very kindly agreed to share her chart, but without any birth details, so it's private. And I'll do a 5-minute reading of her chart, and we'll look at what the transits are that are going on, and talk about a little bit how they affect her life and what's going on for her at the moment. And there's also a quiz question in the video, so you can look out for that. And it's time to get into it, except to say I am based in New Zealand, but this astrology is for the whole world. I make calendars like this one. This one's for Australia. That one there is for New Zealand or Aotearoa. One day I hope to be making calendars for other parts of the world, or for the world in general, using lunar months with lots of information, and maybe one day doing readings. And in a way, this 5-minute reading I'm doing at the end is a practice run for me. So let's get into the video. Here we go, the transits of the week. Starting with an overview of the week, the beginning of the week is the new moon in Gemini, and that will be happening on Sunday the 14th or Monday the 15th of June, and it's at 24 degrees of Gemini. And you can go back to my last video to learn all about that and look at how that will be affecting your sign over the next lunar month. And there it is, the lunar month of Gemini, as shown in the New Zealand calendar. So we've got the grid part there showing beginning from new moon, and then the moon will be waxing, getting bigger and bigger. You're starting your projects, you're getting into things. And over on this other side, we've got the transits, which I'm going to talk about very shortly. So there is a close-up of the grid part, and we are in that first week of the lunar month of Gemini. And by the end of the week, we will be moving into the solar month of Cancer as the sun moves into Cancer. So this week's transits. Oh my goodness, look at them all. 8 transits, and four of them I've put in the goldy yellow font because they're the big important ones. So as you can see, the beginning of the week, Sunday the 14th or Monday the 15th, new moon in Gemini. And then we've got 3 Venus transits in a row. Bang, bang, bang. Or it's Venus. Maybe I should say love, love, love. Venus sextile Uranus on the next day. Venus trine Neptune. And then Venus opposite Pluto. Not so easy. And then on Friday the 19th or Saturday the 20th, 2 big things. Chiron moving into the sign of Taurus. I've done a video about that. I knew that this week was going to have so much in it. I did some of the videos earlier. Okay, so you can go back 1 or 2 videos to see Chiron and Taurus and how that's going to be affecting you over the next 7 years. And Uranus square the lunar nodes, the topic of this video. And then on Saturday the 20th, Sunday the 21st, the sun moves into the sign of Cancer, and we are at the midpoint of the year. So if you're in the northern hemisphere, that is it's like your full moon of your solar year. The sun is at its biggest, its hottest, its brightest. You have reached a peak moment. For us in the southern hemisphere, it is the dark winter time, and we are at a new beginning for our solar year. So we're in that seeding moment. And in New Zealand, we celebrate Matariki, which is pretty awesome. And then we've got the first quarter moon. New moon in the sign of Gemini. Like I said, you can go back to last week's video to learn about that and see what it means for your sign. But I'll just mention this season of Gemini is chatty, it's optimistic, connect with siblings and neighbors, learn things, be local, go around your local place and connect with people over this next month. Venus sextile Uranus. Okay, so Venus is a planet of possessions and resources and money and luxuries and sensual pleasures, and also relationships and peace and harmony. And Uranus, which we'll be talking about a lot more in this video, is the planet of innovation and disruption, new ideas, progressive thinking, quirky and out of the box ways of doing things. And Venus and Uranus in a sextile relationship that's kind of supportive. But on this day, Monday or Tuesday, you might come across people talking about doing love or relationships in a different way, an unconventional way. You might come across people who are dressing up in a more quirky and eccentric way, or you might want to dress in a more quirky and eccentric way. Anyway, there's some kind of desire for freedom and the desire to do things differently with all of Venus matters. Okay, and then we've got Venus trine Neptune. Okay, so Venus trine Neptune, this is a harmonious flow between Venus, and once again, Venus is about our possessions, our resources, our money, our comforts and luxuries and sensual pleasures, and also romance and connection in really peaceful and harmonious and sweet ways. Okay, and Neptune with a lovely trine aspect, we can be visualizing what we want for our love relationships, like imagining it, imagine it into being. Do some manifestation work with your vision board. What do you want for your luxuries and comforts in life? What possessions do you want? What do you want for your money? Be idealistic and imaginative. What do you want for your relationships? Be idealistic and imaginative, and that's pretty nice. That's a nice feeling, that one. There could be some really nice times. That could be the one for the date this week. But then we've got a much harder one. Venus opposite Pluto. So Pluto is about our deep desires and our deep fears and underlying power moves that go on in the world and secrets. And when there's an opposition, that is challenging. On the one hand, you might want to be connected to the earth with Venus, enjoying everything that's going along with your resources and your love and your ways of connecting people in harmony. But then on the other side, there's something going on underneath, like power moves and psychological patterns that are maybe possessive or jealous or manipulative going on. So watch out for that. What I wrote in the calendar about it was tension between partnership and deep, willful desires. So some kind of tension, and this could come up with another person, because an opposition is like one person opposing another person. You can talk to try and come back together, to try and understand each other. It will only last 1 or 2 days, but it's not very easy, that one. And then we have Chiron moving into the sign of Taurus. So Chiron, the wounded healer, moving into the sign of Taurus, where it's going to be for until December, and then it goes back into Aries for a little while, and then it comes back next year. So you can go to my video a couple of videos ago about that. Then Uranus square the lunar nodes. So that is the topic of this video in brief here on the 19th or 20th. This is the mean nodes, by the way. Brilliant ideas and energy boosts that you might need to moderate, but you could be moving into new lifestyles. Okay. And then the sun moving into Cancer, and that is the solstice. So happy birthday, Cancer sun people. We have the solar month of Cancer over the next 30 days, and winter solstice. Sorry, Northern Hemisphere people who are watching, I didn't write there summer solstice. But for you guys, it's summer solstice. And then finally, the first quarter moon, where the moon is square the sun. So we've had this whole week with the moon coming back into visibility by around Tuesday, and then it's going to get a little bit bigger every day, and then it will appear as a half moon in the sky by next Saturday. Oh, I wrote the wrong date there. By Sunday. Excuse that date there. Anyway, you'll see it up in the sky. Just look at it and then you'll know when it's happening. All right, you guys, here is this week's quiz question. And it's a little more straightforward this week. Last week was a trick question. This one's more straightforward. There are so many Venus transits this week, 3 in a row. So this is about a Venus transit. Which Venus transit this week will be good to visualize and imagine your romantic ideals for love and connection? A, Venus sextile Uranus, B, Venus trine Neptune, or C, Venus opposite Pluto. So you can either answer in the comments, or there should be an official YouTube quiz attached to this video. You may have to go into the description or something. But anyway, answer whatever way you want, and I suggest that you do some visualizing and imagining of your romantic ideals at some stage this week, early in the week. And upcoming events, all on the same day roundabout. At the end of June, we've got Mercury turning retrograde, the full moon in Capricorn, and Jupiter moving into the sign of Leo. So I'll be talking more about those later. Uranus square to the lunar nodes. Let's get into this. This is a rare and powerful transit. To summarize, Uranus is the great awakener. The lunar nodes are about your destiny and your soul's journey, something that you're leaving behind, or many things you're leaving behind, and then things that you're going towards. And the square aspect between them brings pressure to change. This is not actually one square, it is two squares because the lunar nodes are opposite each other, and then Uranus is square in a T-square with them. This is time for evolution, time to break free from old karmic patterns and move into the destiny that your soul wants to go into. Wow, that sounds dramatic, but that is what this is about. So I am using the mean nodes, which are the average of the nodes, the nodal position, because this is a point that wobbles around a lot. Okay, so you can use the true nodes, and that became exact on the 12th of June. But the mean nodes become exact on the 19th or 20th of June, but really we're affected for the whole month. And the mean nodes become exactly square to Uranus at 3 degrees of Pisces, Virgo, and Gemini. The square aspect between them is tense, it's disruptive, but it is awakening, and it will drive us to move forward, to take action. Okay. Let's first talk about Uranus. Uranus is a slow-moving outer planet. It has an 84-year orbit. It takes 7 years to move through each sign, and it has very newly moved into the sign of Gemini, like just in April this year that it went into Gemini. And it did go into Gemini a little bit last year for a few months. So overall, Uranus is in Gemini from 2025 and this year until 2033. It's not going to go back into Taurus now. We are on this new phase of Uranus with all its innovation, progressive thinking, new ideas, its brilliance, its intellect in Gemini, which loves all of those things. So we will be learning so much. Anyway, there's a video about that I've done, and you can go back and have a look at it. Uranus in astrology brings sudden and unexpected change. It is disruptive. It brings breakthroughs. It loves breaking through into something that is progressive and out there, out of the box, and also liberating and also authentic. Uranus really values authenticity and doesn't like old, stuck ways of doing things, old traditions that are meaningless. Okay, where the meaning has gone from those traditions, but we're still clinging on to them. Uranus is also revolutionary, and it's the modern ruler of Aquarius, and Aquarius is a very egalitarian sign. It likes everyone to be equally respected and valued, and as such, when there is too much top-down control or restriction and limitation, Uranus will encourage revolutionary ideas and revolutionary breakthroughs, and even just revolution. The lunar nodes, let's talk about these. They are the eclipse points. They're not an actual body, but they're a calculation in the sky for the point where the moon and the sun get so close together that eclipses happen because one is blocking the other. At the moment, they are at the beginning of Pisces, and they move in a retrograde motion, so they're soon going to go back into Aquarius next month. But at the moment, the North Node is in Pisces, and the South Node is in Virgo. And these are square to Gemini, where Uranus is. Okay, I use the mean node, but you can also use the true node. That one wobbles around a lot more, so the mean node is an average of that. These eclipse points have been the subject of so much astrological study because they have been found to be so important in the study of one's life journey. The North Node is about your destiny and where your soul wants you to move to. And part of your job for this lifetime is to move towards, to work towards moving in the direction that your North Node is placed in your chart, wherever that is in your birth chart. Okay? And then the South Node represents old ways of doing things that might be familiar because you may have had many past lives where those circumstances and situations and beliefs and behaviors are so familiar that they're habitual and routine. You're really good at them. You don't have to think a lot. You can use the power of the South Node to help you with your North Node journey, but if you focus too much on your South Node, life will feel stale, and the universe won't help you with that. It will push you with the eclipses towards your North Node. And then with this activation of Uranus, that is activating that as well, encouraging you to leave something behind that is old and familiar and comes from past lives towards your North Node where you have not been before. It's new, it's unfamiliar, it's stepping out into the unknown, and you can be nervous but very excited. So we'll talk about what that means in your sign. So the lunar nodes and the eclipses that they come with, so we're not having an eclipse now, but they represent events that are fated and destined and sudden changes. So both Uranus and the nodes are to do with sudden changes. So there again, that is showing how there's a square aspect between them. We've got Uranus, let's say at the bottom of the T, and then the lunar nodes across. Okay, tense, disruptive, and challenging, but awakening and liberating. This transit of Uranus square the lunar nodes will be affecting us right through June and into July. So let's look at these notes here about how this could be affecting the collective. Gemini is about technology, communication, social media, thinking, and the internet. So much of what we do. Sudden disruptions to systems could come along. All right. There could be awakening where large groups of people or populations could be moving on from old ways of thinking that no longer serve and seeking more of the Pisces style of doing things, where the North Node is more about flow, about connecting to the universe, spiritual understanding, charitable thinking, compassionate thinking, empathy, and I'll repeat again, flow, not being so tightly bound. And the reason for that is the South Node is in Virgo, and Virgo can be overly perfectionistic, analyzing things all the time, and putting stats into columns and data, sorting out data, and focused on the stats and focused on doing everything right and dotting the I's and crossing the T's. So something about this disruptive time from Uranus will be encouraging us to move away from that towards more flow and following the natural cycles of things and the energetic resonances that you're sensing. And we're looking at this on a large scale. So you might get more people talking about doing meditation. You might get people wanting to give up some of their work so that they can have more ease in life and just flow with things, or to have more of a glide timetable at work. All right. So some of this will also be with the Gemini energy, perhaps information overload, reaching a tipping point, like all of AI. There's just so much that you can do with AI, and you just get all this information, and everybody using AI in all these different ways. There could be a tipping point. People might say, no, turn off the phone, get it on airplane, put it down the end of the house, have some flow time. There could be other ways that it shows up, but I'm not going to talk too much. All right, let's look at the personal side. So the house that Gemini falls in your chart is very much activated. That is where Uranus is. And for your overall viewpoint of what Uranus is going to be like in the sign of Gemini in your house, you can go back to my video from a couple of months back that I did about that. But to summarize, you can expect surprises, changes, and insights in the house that Gemini falls in, the part of life that the sign of Gemini rules in your chart. So to go with that, use a Gemini curiosity and adaptability, be open to change, be flexible, be curious, and be courageous and authentic. The authenticity is about Uranus. It wants, courage to change and things to be truthful and genuine. And I've just added in there, small steps are steps. And Gemini is about small things and details and doing this little bit here and this little bit there. Even small steps are still steps that could be important on your overall long-term journey towards the Pisces area of your chart, because the North Node is in Pisces. We are all at the moment being encouraged to move towards that Pisces energy, that flowing energy, compassionate and kind of spiritual, but woo-woo. We're being encouraged to move that, and wherever Pisces falls in your chart, that area of life is where you are being encouraged to move at the moment. So with this disruption and this challenge, you could be encouraged. You are encouraged to move towards a new path, a new way to be, new behaviors, a bigger worldview. Especially Pisces can be very big and universe-minded, like seeing everything in the big picture, and a feeling of destiny about these changes. Okay, so look for this. Look for where in your life you want to have more flow, more connection with the universe, more compassion, more creativity and art, music, and water as well. And I'll add to that film, photography, anything with imagery. That is Pisces. Okay. And at the same time, the South Node is in Virgo. And so you are being pulled away, pushed away from the Virgo part of your chart, and it might not be easy. It might be this last, let's just say, Virgo is an earth sign, Pisces is a water sign. I've got this picture of somebody clinging to the rocks, and the waves are the river current, but waves. Pisces is the ocean. The waves are jostling you and trying to get you away from the rock, and in the end you have to let go. But the rock was solid and safe, but you have to let go. Okay, so of the solidity of those old patterns and beliefs and behaviors and lifestyle. Okay, so notice what is feeling outdated, what is feeling restricted and small. Okay, and I'm going to list there some of these challenges of Virgo. I'll read it out. Perfectionism, overwork, putting others before self, even if it's for selfish reasons, is like, okay, I just came up with a little term, kind of aggressive martyrdom, where you're like doing everything for everyone, but you might be doing it too much. They don't even need that help, really. Virgo really likes to help and give service in practical ways. Perhaps you need to let go of some of that. And certainly we need to be letting go of over-analysis. And I wrote there, too much red tape, too much bean counting. Get into the flow. Don't worry about every detail. So now I'm going to do a sign-by-sign breakdown of how this lunar nodes square to Uranus is going to affect you in your chart. So we'll be looking at surprises, innovations, bids for freedom, bids to do things in a new way in the house that Gemini falls in your chart. This will be part of something releasing, ending in the Virgo part of your chart, that part of life that Virgo rules, and something that is developing a pathway opening up for you in the Pisces part of your chart, the area of life that Pisces rules. So I'm going to start from the sign of Gemini. If you are Gemini, sun, moon, or rising, but especially Gemini rising, Uranus is in your house, Gemini, and I've talked about that in other videos. You can go back and look at it. It's pretty much of a big deal for you. Your first house is who you are in the world, this part that you're playing in the world. All of your life is looking at you in the first house, and you're looking at all of life. And you are a disruptive person for the next 7 years. You'll be wanting to do things in a completely different way. You might be developing new physical hobbies, a sport, new ways of exercising that are really important to all of your life at the moment. And doing anything that's about your identity in the world, being a general disruptor with innovation and breaking free and doing things in new ways. So that's pretty cool and exciting, but not easy for you, Gemini, for 7 years. And with the square to the lunar nodes, there's an activation with that. There is something that you need to release in your fourth house of home and family, ancestral beliefs, ancestral patterns of behavior that are inherited intergenerational. Or it could be something about where you're living, your place of living, the house, the people that you're living with. There's something to let go of. Okay, something that's feeling restricted, too small, too familiar, too routine. It's time to leave it behind and move towards, Gemini, your career. Okay, that is activated by the north node of destiny. So sudden changes could be happening, new paths opening up, and you're encouraged to go towards your career, embrace your career. Don't go crazy, because the north node can get really carried away and get a bit obsessive, but there's certainly some kind of change coming from you, something to leave behind to do with home and family and even your emotional foundations, so that you're moving towards your career. And it could be like a promotion where you have to move away from your home to a new place. It could be that you're working with different people at your work and they're exciting and innovative, and you want to do that. You want to go to do that, but it means you're questioning some family patterns and values. Okay, you might be pulled towards higher profile positions, and also if you're not currently actively working, this is also about roles where you're known and you've got status and a public reputation. And the 10th house is also about legacy. And you might be thinking about the legacy that you want to leave behind. Perhaps there's some project at work. You might not even get, you probably will get recognition with the North Node there. But if you don't, maybe it doesn't matter, because you are really feeling called, pulled towards doing something that leaves a legacy behind to help the world in future. So there we go, Gemini. Exciting for you, because first house, fourth house, 10th house, they're angular houses. They are all very much about you and who you are in this life, in this world. Very strong for you. So please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video, and good luck, Gemini. If you are Cancer, sun, moon, or rising, but especially Cancer rising, Uranus will be square. The lunar nodes are all of this month, and the lunar nodes, North Node is in Pisces, South Node is in Virgo, and Uranus is in Gemini, and Gemini is your 12th house, Cancer. That is a house of where you are in retreat. You're away from the world, you're away from the public eye, you're kind of hidden. And you'll be looking at yourself and your unconscious self, your underlying patterns that you've inherited from past lives. You'll be experiencing endings that are sudden over the next 7 years with Uranus in that 12th house. And you can go back to my video, which I think is in late April, about Uranus in your 12th house for 7 years. But that is activated now. And if you have the chance to take some time out, you could receive some sudden insights that are quite visionary and innovative, with progressive thoughts about old patterns and karmic patterns. This also could happen with, this could also show up with involvements that you've got with places of retreat, like hospitals, care homes, places that are out of the way from the world. Something might happen that requires you to be away from the world a little bit, like some time out, something that's sudden. And then from that, you could get these insights from your subconscious. So there's disruption there. There could even be realizations about patterns of behavior that are really unhealthy. For example, addictions or ways that you don't help yourself, patterns of behavior. So I hope that you get some help with that. What you're aiming for here is to let go of something in your third house. And the third house is a very busy house in the world and in the neighborhoods. It's where you're connecting with your community. It's whether this is an online community like through social media, or with your neighbors and your neighborhood, and you're going around and you're learning things and busy in the neighborhood, driving, walking, biking, on the bus, around your neighborhood. There's something to let go of there. Maybe do a little less. So what I've said there, release the busyness in your neighborhood, and also less need for small talk. The third house can be, talking about the weather, light banter, light-hearted, what you want to move towards now, Cancer, at the moment, with the North Node here, is your ninth house, and that's Pisces. This is where you are actually really desiring some big picture discussion. What is the meaning of life? Life philosophy stuff, even spiritual beliefs like belief systems, religion, trying to understand how all that works, exploring, and also travel. This could be about not traveling around your neighborhood, traveling to distant foreign lands, or maybe connecting with people from distant lands that will help you understand about the meaning of life. That's what you want to go to. And there could be some kind of insight or disruption from that hidden house, which could even also be illness, that helps you towards this ninth house path. All right. So again, about the meaning of life or travel opportunities. So what have I written there? Ninth house path ahead. Big picture discussion, higher learning, philosophy. Yes, it can be university learning as well. Broaden your horizons, not just the neighborhood. Go big and travel. Okay, and here's a little bit of advice. If you get some aha moments, some insight in your dreams, or just while you're going around, just popping into your mind, take note of those. So all the best for that, Cancer, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Leo, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Leo Rising, Uranus is square to the lunar nodes at 3 degrees of Gemini, that's where Uranus is, Pisces, the North Node, and Virgo, the South Node. Money houses. There's something to do with money going on. All three of those can have to do with money. All right. So you have got Uranus going through your 11th house. All right. And the 11th house, is getting disrupted. That is to do with friendship groups, social circles, networks of people that you belong to, long-term goals, and rewards from work. So the rewards from work is where the money can come in there. This could be income from work or from a promotion. There's disruption in this area for the next 7 years. And you can go back to my video about Uranus in the sign of Gemini, which I think came out around late April. That's for 7 years, but it is being activated through June and into July with the square to the lunar nodes. All right, so expect changes or disruptions to your friendship groups, to networks of people that you belong to Something about your long-term goals could change, and it could be through a sudden disruption. What you're aiming to let go of is where the South Node is, and that is Virgo. That is your second house of your money and your finances, your income from work that you do, your earnings, all right? And with Virgo there, maybe you've been doing that bean counting too much that I've talked about before. Like sometimes I've found in my life, in my personal life, is that sometimes when I realize I need to be on a budget, but if I count every single dollar or every single $10, it doesn't do good for my energy. Like I notice I get too I don't know, caught up in all that detail, and it can be, feels like I'm getting into miserly thinking. And sometimes it's I've got to cut expenses and all that, and I do have to be careful with my budget, but it's better for me to be a little more flowing and not look at every single dollar. Having said that, if it works for you, do it. But there is something to release about being overly analytical and careful and tight with your money. And this could be to do with old views about security, old views about your self-worth, that you have to like hold on tight to yourself or else you lose everything. Something like that. What's going on there, Leo? Have a think about it. You're aiming towards going towards the eighth house. That is your destined pathway at the moment, while the North Node is in the sign of Pisces. All right. And the eighth house can be, a simple version of this might be, is that you trust and share resources more. Like maybe you've had a partner who for years has been saying to you, you don't need to work, I'll support you, but you haven't been taking it up. And maybe now's the time where you think, okay, I can do that. I can let go. I can rest on this support that I have from my partner's finances. That would be quite an unusual situation. Don't go asking your partner for that if if it's not going to go down well with your partner, because a lot of people really like things to be quite independent. But there could be something about deeper intimacy with your partner. I'm not talking about resources so much now. I'm talking about where you get down deep with each other into your underlying psychological layers, your vulnerabilities, and you can share that with trust. Okay. Um, you also might want to get into looking at the big picture in terms of your finances, like looking at the large amounts of money that you have stored, like your retirement savings or inheritances, and looking into those matters in a flowing way. Don't get too tight and analytical about it. Go with flow. But it might be good to look at what's going on there, and because those could have a lot more to do with your future comfort and lifestyle, that is in a supporting a healthy and happy lifestyle more than counting every penny. So there we go. All the best for that, Leo, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Virgo, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Virgo Rising, Uranus will be square to the lunar nodes right through June and then into July. Uranus is at 3 degrees of Gemini, and the North Node is in Pisces, the South Node in Virgo. This is a big deal for you, Virgo. These are angular houses, all right? Let's start with Uranus in your 10th house. And you can go back to my video, late April, I think it was, about Uranus in your 10th house. It's there for 7 years. That's your career. Lots of disruptions and surprising new starts and endings, even disruptions and new things with your career. My sister, who is Virgo rising, she's already had something come along, like this whole new contract that she's had in her career that's taking her in a new direction. So that's pretty cool. But there could be also problems and disruptions. And there is an activation of that with this square to the lunar nodes. So I'll just mention as well, in your career, you want authenticity. You want to feel truthful and right about what you're doing, and you want some freedom. You also want innovation, and this is in your public roles. You might be, maybe you're working on a committee that's running some charity or something, and you're feeling very frustrated with how traditional the others are, and the traditions are keeping the charity from doing as well as it could be. You might be playing a role with being the disruptor in these kind of situations. But one of the hardest things for you, Virgo, I think, is that you've been having, over the last 18 months and for another month, the South Node going through your first house. And this is ending some stuff about you, all right? Your whole self, your first house, your whole life, and how you see the world, and how you are in the world, how the world sees you, your body even. What are you needing to let go of? You've got another month of this, but there's this activation with Uranus and disruption and a pull, a push to make you let go of things. So what do you need to release? Are you trying to be too perfect, Virgo? That's a challenge for you not to get into that too much. So stop trying to get everything right. Stop trying to follow the rules if the rules don't really make sense. Think about, what kind of rules are you following in life? Are you trying to please others? Are you giving service in ways that actually are not that helpful and maybe not serving you as well? What do you need to let go of? And I think with Virgo, there can be a pattern of coming from past lives of servitude, even slavery, and there might be things to let go with that, like where you've still kind of got those attitudes where you give the authority to others. Your pathway ahead is actually looking to the seventh house of the other, all right? So where you have one-to-one relationships, Virgo, and whether this is with a life partner or with others in your life, how can you be more flowing? Just go with the flow with those relationships. Don't hold on to them tightly. Don't try to overanalyze. Be more flowing. Go for spiritual connection, compassion, and just surrender. Let it be as it will be. And be true to yourself with that. Be who you are, a flowing self. But yeah, so there might be people that come in with this activation with Uranus square, and maybe it's somebody from your career because of that 10th house activation, who encourages you to be more flowing and free and authentic, and to let go of some servitude, to let go of some over-analysis or perfectionism. So all the best for that, Virgo, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Libra Rising, well, you have got in your 9th house, Uranus is there. This is the house of your worldview, your travel, your exploring the world in search of meaning, adventures, higher level study, and your philosophy of life. And that area is being disrupted for the next 7 years by Uranus. And you can go back to my video in late April about Uranus there for 7 years. But there's this activation now where Uranus is square to the lunar nodes. So especially if you have any planets or points at 3 degrees of Gemini, that's going to be activated, or Pisces or Virgo for that matter. There are some things to let go of, and that is in your 12th house where Virgo lies, and the South Node is there. The 12th house can always be about endings and release and letting go of old karmic patterns, and you are doubly encouraged to do this with the South Node going through there. So really take the opportunity to look at what you do that is not helpful to yourself, like your self-sabotaging patterns. It's called the house of self-undoing, the 12th house. And there could be something that comes on from these new ideas and innovative progressive ideas in your 9th house of your philosophy of life, even your belief systems or religion, that helps you to let go of stuff from that 12th house. Other aspects of the 12th house, I'm just going to read that out. let go of patterns of self-undoing, obsessive escapism, quiet over perfectionism. Actually, one thing I thought about with Virgo, because Libra, you have Virgo lying in your 12th house all your life, and the 12th house can be about escapism and addictive patterns. I thought there could be, with Virgos, perfectionism, OCD could be a risk to have here. And if you've got anything like that, this is a good chance to look at it. You might be just forced to look at it anyway. Where you want to go, Libra, the shining path ahead for you to be working towards, and where paths open up, follow them. Where you're pushed, go with that push. You're going towards your 6th house of how you give service in the world. Okay, this is a wonderful house. In astrology, the 6th house is known as a really bad house. It's a harder house. It could be a house of illness and enemies and problems, but I like it because it's about giving service and giving service in practical ways. And it's also a house of daily routines, and enjoying life, and in terms of like how you organize your life and trying to enjoy that as you go along. So you are encouraged, oops, moved my mic. Libra, you are encouraged to be moving towards this house of how you organize your daily life, your routines for health, for exercise and nutrition, and how you give service in the world, your daily work, who you're working with, what you're doing at work. So aim to have more creative flow in these. Don't be tight. Don't be overly managing about it. Get more flowing, okay? Creative flow, compassion, spirituality in your work and in your daily routines. Bring them in. Allow, the 6th house can be so much about an analysis and detail. Try and let go of some of that analysis and detail. If you are a data processor, good luck. I don't know how you'll do that, but you might find a way to make your spreadsheets more flowing, and something about how you give service. Certainly charity and compassion could be part of that. And Libra, with your great sweet talking skills, you could be really helpful for making people feel better about themselves if that's the way that your service takes shape. So all the best for that, and please like, comment or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Scorpio Sun, Moon or Rising, but especially Scorpio Rising, through the month of June and into July, Uranus is square to the lunar nodes. Uranus is at 3 degrees of Gemini, and the lunar nodes are in Pisces and Virgo. So this is in your 8th house, where you've got Uranus bringing disruption and innovation and desire for change and freedom. And that will be going for 7 years that you've got Uranus there, okay? The 8th house is about your shared resources, your partner's money, business partners or life partner, psychological healing, and also about your deep underlying psychological layers like authenticity and intimacy is something that you want. You want to be able to share vulnerability with your partner and to recognize and accept your own vulnerability. That's the 8th house. But it's also about large amounts of money, retirement savings, inheritances, things like that. Investments. Okay, so you've got disruption and change there for 7 years, Scorpio, and you can go back to my video, and I think it was late April, about Uranus in the sign of Gemini in your 8th house. So to learn what that would be like for 7 years. But there's this activation of that with the North Node and South Node. First of all, the South Node in the sign of Virgo, that is your 11th house. And there's something to release there about your friendship groups, your social circles, the people that you have connections with in a large network or organization. There's something to let go. Maybe you need to stop pleasing and stop following the crowd and be more of an individual. And you may need to let go of, as I've said there, outmoded conventions that you're following. The 11th house can also be about long-term goals, and maybe there's something that you need to let go of there. Maybe for years and years you've had certain goals, like, I'm just going to use one example, buying a house or reaching to some status or level of attainment at work, like aspiring to be promoted to a certain level at work. And there could be something where the energy of that is just going out and you don't want it anymore. Okay. And this could also apply to social groups. There might be groups that you need to let go of, or your way of being in groups. Okay, so something to release. What you are aiming for, what life wants you to go to, what the universe wants you to reach towards as a shining path ahead is absolutely lovely, because it's your 5th house. And the 5th house is the house of what you create from the heart, your joy, your playfulness, your creativity. And within that, the 5th house is also about romance and romantic partners and dating. And the 5th house is also about children, because they are something you produce from your heart. They're a very creative project. And so there could be something to do with your children. Maybe you need to focus on having children. Maybe you need to stop thinking about what the crowd thinks and just date this person that you're interested in that doesn't fit in with the crowds. Or maybe you need to do a hobby that most of your friends wouldn't really accept or respect or understand, and you need to get into that hobby and just do it and love it and share it. Be in the flow of what comes from your true heart, Scorpio. That's what you're aiming for. So there could be some kind of change that comes from the 8th house of shared resources. Maybe some funds come in that help you to pay for doing something with your hobbies or with your children or romance. Okay. And that disruption pushes you away from the crowd or pushes you away from some long-term goals, and you're heading towards that 5th house of joyful, playful pursuing of hobbies and expressions of your creative heart. So, wow, Scorpio, let's see how that goes, and all the best for it. Please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Sagittarius sun, moon, or rising, but especially Sagittarius rising, Uranus is square to the lunar nodes. It's a rare transit, and that's happening throughout June and into July. And that is happening for you, Sagittarius, in the angles of your chart. So it's affecting your relationships, your career, and your home, some very important parts of life. All right. So Uranus recently moved into the sign of Gemini. That's your relationship house, your one-on-one relationships. You can go back to my video in late April to learn more about that if you want to see that. But that's bringing disruptions, progressive thinking, and sudden changes and desire for freedom and freshness in relationship for 7 years. And there's an activation with this square to the lunar nodes. All right. So in your relationships, whether that is business partners or life partner or anyone that you work with on a one-to-one basis, like this could be clients as well, even, or friends that you do a lot of one-to-one time with, sudden relationship changes, desire for freedom, for innovation or a fresh approach, and you want more authenticity. You want more truthful dwelling in those relationships and your one-on-one connections. Okay. What that will be doing is activating something to do with your 10th house of your career and your public reputation. There's something to release there, something to let go of. Maybe some energy has gone out of your career over the last 18 months, okay? Because the South Node is there. And the South Node is about what we need to let go of and release. Okay, so somehow your career and your focus on career might have felt less meaningful over that time, and there could have been endings for you in your career where you've been let go of some positions and things have changed and it's not what you expected, like that, just that energy's gone out, or actual positions or roles have been taken away from you from the outer world. Okay, so that has been activated as well, and there might be something that you finally need to say, oh, okay, I'm done with that, I've got to move on. And where you're moving on to, Sagittarius, the shining path of your destiny, that these changes from your relationship house, from your career, are leading to your home, your home, your family of origin, your emotional foundation also. Okay, so that's where your focus is, where your energy is, and as as a point of destiny for you while the North Node is there. Okay, and you're being encouraged to be more creative in the home, more flowing, more imaginative, flow with what comes in and out, more spiritual, more compassionate, and understanding of others in your home, more charitable. And when I say home, so this can be anything to do with your family of origin and your connections with them. It can be the place where you live. It can be properties that you own. Maybe a new property comes along that you could move to rent or to own, whichever, and you flow with a feeling about that. It's not like really sort of in an organized way, where you've been saving up for years and it feels right and you've been planning it for a long time. It might be something just comes along and you go with it. This could also be about the people that you live with, your housemates, who's there. And because it's also about your emotional foundation, there might be some exploring of the past and the family patterns of behavior, belief, old karmic things that are coming out of, the ancestral inherited emotions and beliefs and behaviors. And you could be finding there's some stuff there that's really valuable for you to look at. Maybe you're looking into some family history and you're feeling very connected to that and desirous to know more about it. Anyway, but your home is your path at the moment, and the disruptions that come along from other parts of life will be leading you there, Sagittarius. So all the best for that, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Capricorn Rising, Uranus is square to the lunar nodes right through June and into July. At the exact point on the 20th, it's at 3 degrees of Gemini and Pisces and Virgo. Uranus is in Gemini, your 6th house, Capricorn. This is bringing disruption to the work that you do, your daily tasks, your daily living and routines. What do you do to organize your life, your health and your exercise routines, your life admin? There's disruption there, and there will be for 7 years, because Uranus will be there for 7 years to any of these. How you give service in the world is part of that as well. And you can go back to my video in late April where I talk about Uranus going through that house, your 6th house, for the next 7 years. But there is an activation with the square to the lunar nodes, an activation that is going to be pushing and pulling you, bringing a disruption that pushes you away from your 9th house. Okay, so the 9th house, and you may have found over the last 18 months or so, there's been sort of like a lack of energy in your travel plans or your study, your higher learning, the ways that you seek meaning, your belief about how the world is organized, your life philosophy. Okay, when I had the South Node going through my 9th house, I won't share what it is because it's kind of personal, but I really came out of that with a big change to how I believed I wanted the world to be, and I used to work towards this vision I had for the world, and I really believed in it. And by the end of it, I kind of had stopped believing it. It was kind of like my religion, I suppose. Um, I just didn't believe in it in the same way. I kind of did, but not the way that I thought I did. Anyway, so you might be going through something like that. You might find that there is a set of beliefs or even a wise person or guru that you've followed for so long, and you're just not wanting to follow them so much anymore, or something might happen that actually might change how you see them, and you want to, yeah, you're kind of left with a little bit of emptiness there, a lack of energy in that area. Because Capricorn, the shining path ahead for you, the universe is pulling you towards your third house, the house of your neighborhood, your community, going around and about your community, how you travel around your community, social networking, social media, how you use your voice, your marketing, your trade and exchange if you've got a small business, but how you use a voice, your self talk, your thinking, and your communication with others. That is the third house. It's very much a house of the everyday. So you've got two everyday houses there, because you've got the sixth house where Uranus has got its disruption and its desire for innovation and authenticity. And that is, sixth house is about your daily work, your daily service, how you organize your life. And the third house is about the everyday environment that you live in, where you're walking around talking to people, connecting to them, whether that is in the online world or in the actual physical neighborhood. The universe wants you to go that way, to connect with your community. And so, what have I got there? Use your voice. Use your voice in your social media. Be authentic. Talk and think about charity and compassion, and be flowing in this area. What is wanting to flow out of you? What do you want to say that could just flow out of you? That's the Pisces thing, especially if it's thinking about charity and compassion and understanding of others. And this will be in local settings. Okay. Capricorn, that's a good one for you to think about. So please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Aquarius Rising, Uranus is square to the lunar nodes. It will be right through June and into July, and it's exact on the 19th or 20th of June at 3 degrees of Gemini, with the North Node in Pisces and the South Node in the sign of Virgo. All right, Aquarius, you have got Uranus in your fifth house. And the fifth house is about your creative self, your creative hobbies, and what you do that brings joy to your heart, what you create from your heart. And that also includes your children. Okay, so it's a house of children, and it's also a house of dating and romance. Okay, and play. All right, so it's fun. The fifth house is fun and heartfelt. And, you know, Gemini is your fifth house, and you're a social creature, Aquarius. You love to talk, and that fifth house, while you're connecting when you're in romance and with your children, you want to talk. And while Uranus is there, you probably want to talk about innovative things and new ideas, and to be quite authentic. Okay, and Uranus is your ruler. So you've got 7 years of Uranus in that fifth house, bringing disruption, because, you know, anything can happen with Uranus, surprises, and innovation. So you might be getting really innovative with your hobbies. You might be quite unconventional with your dating partners, or they're unconventional, and maybe raising your children or connecting with children in a less conventional way. You can learn more about what Uranus through your fifth house will be like if you go back to my video about that in late April, because that is going to be there for 7 years. But there's this activation now with the lunar nodes. All right, so the south node, you're having this push-pull thing between the south and the north node. You are being pushed away from your 8th house, or there's something to end or release to do with your 8th house. And that is where the South Node is. It's Virgo. The 8th house is about power dynamics. It's about partners' resources, whether that's a business partner or a life partner. And it can be about your underlying psychological layers, all right? And so when there's something to leave behind there, it might be that maybe previously you had access to resources or to large amounts of money, whether that's investments, inheritances, taxes, retirement savings, and you need to let go of something. Maybe an inheritance you thought might be coming your way is no longer going to come your way. Or maybe you had a partner and who was sharing money with you, and now you no longer have access to that for some reason. There also could be a need to let go of some deeper intimacy or deeper vulnerability. Instead, you are heading towards your 2nd house, all right? So you've got to let go of maybe your partner's money. But you are heading more, and you are guided by the universe, or pushed by the universe, pulled by the universe to a shining path to do with your 2nd house of your own money, your own resources. So letting go of the need for your partner's money, letting go of the need for deep intimacy with a partner, or to share your vulnerabilities with a partner, instead to be looking at, on the surface level, your own money, your own resources, your own possessions, and feeling proud to have them yourself and to have been able to earn them and create them yourself. And also your own sense of your own self-worth, who you are, that you are enough just by yourself as you are. It doesn't mean you're going to split up from anybody, but getting that stronger sense of self-worth. You are being guided towards that Aquarius, all right? So what have I said there? Develop your own resources, your own income streams, and your own sense of self-worth as well. It might be even that you decide with this disruptive energy from the 5th house to go out and spend some money on a creative hobby. Like maybe you've always wanted to do arts, like painting, and you go out and you decide, this is my money, I'm going to spend it on paints and canvas and good quality paintbrushes. And then you can be doing these unconventional, amazing paintings. I'm sure they'd be really different coming from you, Aquarius. And that goes with that 5th house of self-expression and all of that. But so treasure your self-worth, nurture it, and develop it. And it might mean letting go of some reliance on your partner's resources. So all the best for that, Aquarius. And please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Pisces, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Pisces Rising, and I am one of you, I am Pisces Rising and Moon, we have got Uranus square to the lunar nodes. This is affecting us through June and into July, and at the exact time of the mean node on the 19th or 20th of June at 3 degrees of Gemini, Pisces, and Virgo. All right, it's at 3 degrees. Okay, so Pisces, we have got disruption to our 4th house of home and family, place of living, the people that we live with Uranus in our 4th house. And you can go back to my video in late April to learn more about how Uranus in the 4th house will be for you, and Uranus going through the sign of Gemini. We've got that for 7 years with Uranus and Gemini. All right, so sudden changes to home, less conventional housemates, emotional freedom. We're desiring that because the 4th house is also, as well as home and family and place of living and properties, it's about emotional foundation. Okay, so we might want more freedom in that way. Okay, so there's this activation between Uranus going through Gemini and the North Node and South Node. For the last 18 months, you may have found, Pisces, that there have been things to let go of to do with partnership, to do with over-reliance on partnership and over-focus on it, all right? People-pleasing and over attachment. Okay, I've definitely been going through that. I've got a partner and I've had to let go of, I've had to realize how I need to stand up on my own 2 feet in relationship and speak up for myself and value my own things so that we can be strong together and not me bending always to that relationship. So things to let go of with relationship. And this can also be where business partnerships or other kinds of one-to-one partnerships come to an end, or they need to change and evolve. And I've had 1 or 2 business partnerships end actually in that time, and it's all fine. It's just, but there's a need to let go, and there's some energy that's gone away from that area. The shining path for us, Pisces, the path ahead, that these changes from our home and family and from letting go of relationship stuff, the path ahead is about us, our first house, Pisces, us, who we are, da da da. We need to be, we need to really be who we are in the world. That is what the world is, the universe is wanting for the world at the moment, that flowing nature of ourselves, our compassion, our creative selves, our ability to connect with the universe and the all that is the biggest picture in the world, really, the earth and the universe and all the stars. I quite like astrology, partly because I'm Pisces and I just like thinking of the vastness of things. All right, so more creativity, more flow, more imagination. We need to be that more in the world. Okay, I don't know. Maybe this will mean like I completely change the way I do the videos and be more flowing. I don't know. I quite like having my structure with the videos. Okay, so yeah, sudden changes to our homes and families, place of living, letting go of stuff to do with relationship, and heading towards who we are ourselves. What do you want from the world? How does the world see you? How do you see the world? Any part of life can be affected by this, Pisces. It's a big time of growth for us. So all the best for that, and please like, comment or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Aries, Sun, Moon or Rising, but especially Aries Rising, Uranus is square to the lunar nodes throughout June and going into July, and at the exact point of the mean node or the average node being square on the 19th or 20th of June, that's at 3 degrees of Gemini for Uranus and 3 degrees of Pisces and Virgo. So a lot being activated there by this. Let's start with Uranus in your 3rd house. Okay, so Uranus is bringing disruption, innovation, and the desire for freedom and freshness in your 3rd house of communication, neighborhoods, community, local learning, local travel, talking, your self-talk, your thinking, also your voice that you use in the world and the things that you say, small business, hand skills and learning. There's so much to the 3rd house. All right, thinking as well. Okay, so Uranus is disrupting your 3rd house with all of those things I listed for the next 7 years. And you can go back to my video, I think it was the end of April, about Uranus in your 3rd house for 7 years. Okay, but there's this activation now with the square with the lunar nodes. So you might expect something to come along that is unexpected, a breakthrough in communication, unexpected news that comes along, some new change in your community or your place of learning in the community, or something about the way that you think and speak. There could be a disruption. You might decide out of the blue that you need singing lessons. I actually do singing lessons, and I teach singing. And I had somebody come along lately, and it was amazing because she had never sung before, and she really believed that she couldn't sing, and it had been a really big block for her. And she took this really bold step. She was nervous as of coming to a singing lesson and trying out her voice for the first time. It was so cool. And she's coming back, so I'm really pleased about that. Who knows? She might be an Aries rising person. All right. So, whatever activation of this that there is with this third house disruption or innovation, it is encouraging you to let go of something to do with your sixth house. And this could be your work or the ways that you give service in the world. And that's usually practical service with the sixth house, all right? And the sixth house is also about your daily routines and your life admin. And maybe you're a bit of a perfectionist in any of these. Maybe when you're doing your tasks at work, you cross the T's and dot the I's very, very carefully. Maybe you're a little bit overly analytical. Maybe you're like that with your routines and your duties around the house in your daily life, and you're very rigid or too rigid, maybe not very rigid, but maybe a bit too rigid about how you do your exercise routine. So you're being pushed away from this or pulled away from this. You're being pulled away so that you obsess less over being correct, over doing things in a certain structured, rigid way. And you're also trying to get away from minor anxieties and duties. The sixth house can be so much about duties, all right? And there can be an anxiety about it because of that desire for perfectionism. Try and let go. Try and get more in the flow. That is your shining path ahead, Aries. You are being encouraged with these disruptions to move towards the 12th house. And this is a house where you're away from the world. You're sleeping, you're dreaming, you're separate, you're on your own probably. You're escaping, you're in retreat. And from that time alone or away from things, you can gain so much connection to the universe, wisdom, insight, and you can be looking at some of your unconscious patterns and trying to understand them and understand more about yourself. All right. So take some quiet time, and the universe might force you to do that. And you would gain more wisdom and spiritual connection and charitable thinking and understanding. And maybe get into doing some creative artwork and music, and all of this can help. So, what I've written there: find wisdom about your destiny through quiet times and subconscious, unconscious, and connection with spirit where you can. And there'll be ways that you grow in a kind of hidden way, but then it will come and help you with the rest of your life later, Aries. So all the best for that, and please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. If you are Taurus, Sun, Moon, or Rising, but especially Taurus Rising, Uranus is in Gemini. It moved into there recently. That is your second house. It's going to be disrupting your money, your income streams, your possessions and resources perhaps, and your sense of self-worth over the next 7 years. So that's for 7 years, and you can go back to my video at the end of, I think it was the end of April, to learn more about that. But there's an activation now of that. Okay, so the second house, like I said, it's about resources and your money and your income. And on a deeper level, it's about how you value yourself, your sense of self-worth, and then how you value the things in your life, the material things, what has priority, what has second priority, what is low down on the priority list. There are disruptions, okay, and that is activated by this journey of Uranus square to the lunar nodes, all right? And that activation is also setting off your 5th house and your 11th house. The 5th house is about something that you need to leave behind because the South Node is there. The 5th house is about your romantic life with romantic partners and dating. Not necessarily a long-term partner, but romance in your life if you are with a long-term partner or dating partners, okay? The 5th house is also about children and your connections with children and children in your life and your children. And the 5th house is also about your hobbies and your playfulness and what you create from your heart, where you have fun creating. There's actually something to let go of to do with any of these. And it could be a hobby that you need to let go of, a dating scene that you need to let go of, some over attachment to your children. Maybe you're an empty nester and you need to stop trying to hold on too tight to your children who have flown the nest or are in the process of it. Okay, something to let go, and maybe a need to be less rule bound and structured with any of those, with any of your hobbies. Instead, Taurus, you are being asked to go to your 11th house. And this can be where um, the 11th house is about large groups, like your connections with friendship groups and social networks. And it's also about your long-term goals, and it's also about rewards from work. So it might be that maybe you've been really focused on dating or something. You need to let it go and get into a friendship group and enjoy connecting with people and all the laughs that you can have with group connections. And also, sometimes the 11th house can be very much about where you've got a shared vision with that friendship group, like even a social cause that you're pursuing. And this might be what you're being called to look at more. Whatever it is that comes up, whether it's about your goals or your work rewards, like your income from your work, or about the friendship groups, you're being asked to be more flowing and free with it, and uh, more creative and visionary. Okay, to let go of being so structured and thinking, okay, my children are growing up. I've got to get a partner so that they can see a healthy relationship, and they've got a partner at home. That's the way I've got to do it, and I've got to do it by December this year. Maybe don't be so structured about it. Just let it go and get into enjoying groups of friends. Okay. So what I've written there: be less rule bound or structured with hobbies, romance, or children. More meaningful community connection, shared visions, and long-term goals. Yeah, I hope that you find meaning in that. But whatever it is, don't be too stuck on that. Just let it flow and see where the universe is taking you. And all this, the universe will be helping you with some sudden disruptions to your income stream and this loss of energy, this slow depletion of energy in that 5th house. All right. So all the best for that, Taurus. Something to let go of there and things to move towards. Please like, comment, or subscribe if you like this video. So there we go, everyone. That is about Uranus square to the lunar nodes. I am very shortly, the next thing you'll see on this video is my recording of my analysis of the chart of Lany. So that's coming up, but I'm not going to show my face because I can't be bothered doing makeup again. I don't normally wear makeup. I just do it for the videos usually, or special occasions. But anyway, so I'm just about to go off and play music with my friends. And that's one of my new things I'm doing this year, is really focusing on developing my songs and practicing with my friends on a regular basis, friends who are musicians. And okay, so I'll say goodbye and have a great week with all those big things going on this week, and then you'll see my recording of this 5-minute reading of the chart of Lany. Well, hello, Lany. Here is your chart, and I am going to put the timer on for 5 minutes. But just before that, I'll explain what I'm going to cover. I'll start with your ascendant sign, your rising sign, and then we'll talk about the placement of your sun. I'll talk about the placement of your moon, your ascendant ruler, which is Jupiter, and then we'll look at what kind of transits are going on at the moment. All right, let's see what can be done in 5 minutes. Here we go. Okay, so Lany, your ascendant sign, according to the time that you were able to give me, is Pisces. So you can see here the AC, all right? That's the AC. That's your ascendant at 3 degrees 38 of Pisces. So you're a Pisces person and Pisces rising, and that means that you are good at being imaginative, you can visualize things, you can see beyond the here and now, you can see the big picture, you can probably connect to the universe and to spirit fairly easily and recognize that there are unseen energies. It also can mean that you might enjoy romanticizing life a little bit, like seeing the meaning in life, and um, you can enjoy stories and imagination. All right. But at the same time, so you could be quite otherworldly in a way, but then you've got Saturn in the first house. So if you see Saturn there, 16 degrees, and Mars as well. Both of those are really pretty much about earthly concerns and desire with Mars, and being structured with Saturn. And I think that would mean, like with anything where you can be a bit otherworldly and imaginative, that you will be quite grounded and structured about it. And then the other, so that so that's Pisces. Oh dear, sorry, I lost it. Going back. Whoops. Pausing. Okay, got it again. All right. So, your sun is about your. So the rising sign is about your character in the world, and the way that the world sees you. And from that first house, it sets up all the other houses. So houses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. And your sun is right around here in your 12th house. And it's in astrology, we say that's as far away as you can get from your first house. It's in the 12th house. And it could be, therefore, that your creative expression, the ways that you shine in the world, the spark of life that comes through you and expresses through you from your heart, and even what you're known for, your career, how you're seen, is kind of hidden in some ways. Okay, so it might be that you've, like in the work that you do, it might be that you're not necessarily seen in a very clear way. I've got a friend with her son in the 12th house, and I was hanging out with her for about 5 years before I could really understand what her work was and her career was. And as she was doing stuff where her name is out there and she is known for it, but it tends to be known in kind of out of the way circles that are not really obvious in the mainstream world. Okay, you've got Mercury conjunct your sun. If you see right there, you've got Mercury and the sun together. That's pretty cool. That would definitely help you expressing yourself from your heart. And it might be that you're good with words to describe what you want to say, whether that is written words or spoken words. But again, it could be that you're expressing yourself in slightly out of the way areas. Okay, what else can we talk about? Let's look at the ruler of your ascendant, which is Jupiter. I've lost my mouse at the moment. Okay, so there's Jupiter. Jupiter is your ruler. Okay, Neptune is as well. Neptune's up there. That's your modern ruler, but we'll talk about Jupiter. That is in your 4th house of home and family. And there's 2 reasons why that 4th house of your home and your family are important for you, more important than for the average person. Home and family of origin, and I will add in there your emotional foundation and your stability. So Jupiter's there, and Jupiter is your ruler of your ascendant, and that means there's quite a big life focus for you on home and family and or your emotional foundation. It might be that you're quite interested in looking at ancestry, or you like the traditions of family. And the other reason why that's a really important area for you is that your North Node is there. Okay, so that's your natal North Node. So in this video, I've been talking all about the North Node and how it's... Oh, gonna turn that off now. That's the timer. I guess I'm gonna go longer than 5 minutes. So the North Node down there, so you can see down there, that's in your 4th house as well with Jupiter. So something about ancestry, roots, family of origin, that's a feature for you. Emotional safety. And if you don't have clarity about your family of origin, it might be that you explore that and you're trying to understand it and to understand what home means, what family means, and you are looking for that emotional stability and perhaps trying to understand, your whakapapa, to use a Māori term, and that's important to you. And also, like with the North Node, that's for your destiny. Your soul wants to travel towards that area. That is part of your destiny. And on the opposite side of the chart, right, there's a right conjunct, your MC and your IC. The South Node is, and that is your career area, the 10th house. And it might be that you've had a successful career, maybe an adventurous career with Sagittarius there, with changes and curiosity and learning, a lot of learning about it, maybe teaching. And in past lives, you might have been really good at that. And there's a lot of strength and skill and familiarity and knowledge in that area. But if you focus too much on that in this lifetime, the universe might just encourage you to let go of some of it. Like the energy won't be there. And if you focus on it too much, it might not be satisfying in some way, because the universe wants you to move to that North Node. Okay? The home, the family, the whakapapa, what makes a home feel safe and stable and nurturing. Themes for you. Okay, what else can I say? Your moon is in Libra, and that means that the way you respond emotionally to things in the world, you like things to be fair, and you like things to be respectful and harmonious and civilized in the treatment of other people around you, and you want them to treat you like that as well. And because that's in the 8th house, it might mean that you're quite willing, when you're exploring an emotional matter, that you want to go deeply with that. You're quite happy to go into the underlying layers, and you would like things to be fair on a deep level, not just on the surface level. I don't know if that plays out for you. But anyway, transits. Let's look at this, the one I've been talking about in the video, because that is particularly activating your chart. So Uranus is right. It's just gone over that North Node of yours. So Uranus is really shaking things up about your soul's journey and where your soul wants to go to. There are things happening, even if it's on an internal level. You're really getting shaken up in terms of this desire for freedom and innovation and progressiveness. And Uranus is the modern ruler of your sun sign, actually. And then double activation, the transiting North Node is really exactly conjunct your ascendant. So you are definitely going through some big changes, and at the moment they might be showing up on the internal level, but I expect you will be making some big adjustments to your direction going forward after this. So everything that I've said in the video about the North Node and the square with Uranus, that is particularly activating you, more so than for the average person. Whew! Okay. Have I said about Saturn and Mars? I think I did. You've got the stellium in the 1st house, so that's quite a big placement there. There's there's lots for you about self and how can you be yourself, and um, you might be quite a leader, and you might be also quite ambitious and yeah, quite structured and decisive, especially in your Piscean way. Structured and decisive about creativity, and about it also could be about charitable acts and doing things to help the people who are dispossessed, people who are troubled, the underdogs. You would want to bring them up, and you could be quite ambitious and a leader in that. And you've got Chiron in the first house, and where you've got this attitude of helping the underdog and all that, that could be about working to heal trauma. It could be, you could have an actual childhood wound yourself in terms of your sense of self and who you are in the world. And I hope you've found that there's opportunities and satisfying opportunities. I hope to heal others through that. And again, that could be in quite a structured way because you've got Saturn close by. Anyway, that's a bit of talking. I wasn't going to show all these notes. I wrote all these notes for myself, and I don't know if you can understand them. I was going to cover them up, but I might as well show them, and then you can see anything else that you want to. So there we go, Lany. Quite a big transit for you at the moment. Bye for now.